वन्देऽहं श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं सागरजाथां सगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे.
Thank you. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. The translations and purpose to chapter 14 Bhagavad Gita by Divine Blessed Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Jai Shri Krishna. So today we are going to start the 14th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. We missed this class for a few weeks now, right? 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Just 1 week, no?
1 week last week.
It's like we missed
I
out.
missed weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are supposed to start the 14th chapter in the gymnastic. So we will start now. I'll share the quick overview of that. So 13th chapter was about the Purusha Prakriti, nature, enjoyer, and consciousness. Prakriti Purusha,
Jnanam Geyam.
Geyam, middle to Purusha, Kshetra, Kshetrajna, Purusha, Prakriti, Jnanam, and Geyam. So Krishna has explained the 6 items very elaborately towards the end, and also told about how to obtain that knowledge of Geyam, the object of the knowledge, and what is the object of knowledge. The 2 types of super souls which are the object of knowledge. One is the individual soul, and the other is the supreme soul. So now followed by that, he continues to explain the conditioning of the soul by the now that he explained about the material modes, I mean, he explains within the 13th chapter about the material modes also, like how those 24 elements act on the living entity, how they become conditioned by that, and all that. So now he's going to speak about the modes that are acting on these conditioned souls. What are the 3 types of modes and how are they working on it, on a conditioned soul? And that is 1 to 13. Then he talks about the conditioning. What is the effect of that mode acting on a particular person? The effect of that mode. And then how one can transcend the modes, which is becoming gunatita. Atita means above. Guna means the mode. So how you can go above and beyond the mode. That is transcending the modes. That is the end. So we'll get started with the 1 by 1 reading. He doesn't give a chance to Arjuna to ask any question. He's just continuing to speak in this chapter. Yeah. Is it being recorded? Does it say it is getting recorded?
It is recording.
Okay. Shri, text 1. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Param Bhuya Prabhakshyami Jnananam Jnanamuttamam Yajñatva Munayah Sarve Param Siddhim Ito Gataha. Synonyms. Shri Bhagavan Vacha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, Param, transcendental, Bhuyaha, again. Pravakshyami, I shall speak. Jnananam, of all knowledge. Jnanam, knowledge. Uttamam, the supreme. Yet which Jnatva, knowing. Munayaha, the sages. Sarve, all. Param, transcendental. Siddhim, perfection. Itaha, from this world. Gataha, attained. Translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, Again I shall declare to you this supreme wisdom, the best of all knowledge, knowing which all the sages have attained the supreme perfection. Purport. From the 7th chapter to the end of the 12th chapter, Shri Krishna in detail reveals the absolute truth, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now the Lord himself is further enlightening Arjuna. If one understands this chapter through the process of philosophical speculation, he will come to an understanding of devotional service. In the 13th chapter, it was clearly explained that by humbly developing knowledge, one may possibly be freed from material entanglement. It has also been explained that it is due to association with the modes of nature that the living entity is entangled in this material world. Now, in this chapter, the Supreme Personality explains what those modes are, how they act, how they bind, and how they give liberation. The knowledge explained in this chapter is proclaimed by the Supreme Lord to be superior to the knowledge given so far in other chapters. By understanding this knowledge, various great sages attained perfection and transferred to the spiritual world. The Lord now explains the same knowledge in a better way. This knowledge is far, far superior to all other processes of knowledge thus far explained, and knowing this, many attain perfection. Thus, it is expected that one who understands this 14th chapter will attain perfection. So at the end of the first 12, between section 12 to 7 to 12, Krishna explains about the absolute truth about himself. That is a bhakti section, right? Followed by that, he is speaking about the jnana. He's giving a lot of knowledge to Arjuna. In the 13th chapter, there's the starting of that section, where he explained again those 6 things that we just described. Now, this chapter, because it is going to speak about how to transcend the modes, this is considered to be very higher knowledge as per Krishna, as per Prabhupada. This is how they are explaining. Because the modes are the ones that are entangling the living entity. And if you know how they act and you know how to get out of them, then that means then you are getting a higher knowledge. So that is what Krishna has also said. I'm going to give you far more better knowledge than what I have explained so far. Prabhupada also said that. So let's continue. Vanati Mataji, please read text 2.
Text 2. Idam jnanam upashritya mama sadharmyam agataha saggepi nopajayante pralaye na vyadanti cha. Synonym. Idam, this, jnanam, knowledge, upashritya, taking shelter of, mama, my, sadharmyam, same nature, agata, having attained, sarge api, even in the creation, na, never, upajayante, or born, pralaye, in the annihilation, na, nor, vyadanti, or disturbed, cha, also. Translation. By becoming fixed in this knowledge, one can attain to the transcendental nature like my own. Thus established, one is not born at the time of creation or disturbed at the time of dissolution. Purpose. After acquiring perfect transcendental knowledge, one acquires qualitative equality with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, becoming free from repetition of birth and death. One does not, however, lose his identity as an individual soul. It is understood from Vedic literature that the liberated souls who have reached the transcendental planets of the spiritual sky always look to the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, being engaged in his transcendental loving services. So even after liberation, the devotees do not lose their individual identities. Generally, in the material world, whatever knowledge we get is contaminated by the 3 modes of material nature. Knowledge which is not contaminated by the 3 modes of nature is called transcendental knowledge. As soon as one is situated in the transcendental knowledge, he is on the same platform as the Supreme Person. Those who have no knowledge of the spiritual sky hold the knowledge of the spiritual sky hold that after being free from the material activities of the material form, this spiritual identity becomes formless without any variegatedness. However, just as there is material variegatedness in this world, in the spiritual world there is also variegatedness. Those in ignorance of this think the spiritual existence is opposed to the material variety. But actually, in the spiritual sky, one attains a spiritual form. There are spiritual activities, and the spiritual situation is called devotional life. The atmosphere is said to be uncontaminated, and there one is equal in quality with the Supreme Lord. To obtain such knowledge, one must develop all the spiritual quality. One who thus develops the spiritual quality is not affected either by creation or by the destruction of the material world. Hare Krishna.
So Krishna is said that now he's glorifying the transcendental knowledge, right? So in the continuation of the same thing, he says, one can attain the transcendental nature like my own, thus establish one is not born at the time of creation or disturbed at the time of dissolution. That means whoever attains this transcendental knowledge will not have to go through the process of creation and destruction. That means this material world that we are in will be dissolved at some point. That we have seen in the earlier chapters. How Ratri Agame and Praliyate and Bhutva Bhutva Praliyate, he keeps saying that. Like there will be night and then there will be day for the Brahma, which is huge amount of time. And his lifetime is very, very high number, 312 trillion and 8.40 billion years, our human calculation. So there is night for Brahma and daytime for Brahma. During that, there is a partial dissolution. Some living entities go back into the Lord, they become dissolved in the sense that they become merged in the Supreme Karanodakshaya Vishnu. But at the end of the final creation, dissolution also, the entire thing gets dissolved and goes back into Mahavishnu's body. Right? So they don't have to go through that process, we are saying. And neither they have to take birth again at the time of creation, because at the inhale and exhale of Lord Mahavishnu, these universes are getting created. So they will be dissolved and they'll be created. That is, and they don't have to go through this because they would have attained that transcendental knowledge. So that is why it is supreme knowledge, because when you overcome these modes, then there is no purpose for you to live in this world. All we are here is because we have not yet transcended that, and we have our karma to reap and all that. But one who has attained to that nature will not go through the process of creation that next time that happens, neither the process of dissolution. We have certain time. It will be done in this life itself. We don't have to go through that entire cycle of Brahma's life. So that is what he's saying. But then in the purport, Prabhupada is saying that the living entities still maintain the individuality. Some people think that at the end of the dissolution, they lose their identity and go and merge in the Supreme. But that's not what every time there is an individuality maintained. Even in the Susupti stage, there is individuality there, but they are in the sleeping condition. When they come out as individual. That means the individuality is maintained even in the sleeping state. So so the purport says that even after liberation, you will have your individuality. There is variegatedness always. There is nothing like formlessness. So that variegatedness is what is called spiritual life, which is very, very variegated. It's not one individual is not same as the other individual. Each one has their unique way of offering to the Lord. And that is what Krishna likes. And that is what Krishna has created, that it is variegated. We should not be, everyone is devotees, everyone do the same thing. It's not, each one does it very uniquely. It is very, very uniquely, each one does. So that is the uniqueness, individual and unique and individual and voluntary. This is spontaneous, unique, individual and voluntary. This process is like that. So that is maintained throughout the existence. So that's about the knowledge itself. Now he's going to talk more. Sneha Mataji, please read.
Text 3. Mama yonirmahad brahma tasmin garbham dadhamyaham sambhavaha sarvabhutanam tato bhavati bharata. Mama, my, Yonihi, source of birth, Mahat, the total material existence, Brahma, supreme, Tasmin, in that, Garbham, pregnancy, Dadami, create, Aham, I, Sambhavaha, the possibility, Sarva Bhutanam, of all living entities, Tataha, thereafter, Bhavati becomes Bharata, O son of Bharata. The total material substance called Brahman is the source of birth, and it is the Brahman that I impregnate, making possible the births of all living beings, O son of Bharata. Bharata. But this is an explanation of the world. Everything that takes place is due to the combination of Kshetra and Kshetrajna, the body and the spirit soul. This combination of material nature and the living entity is made possible by the Supreme God Himself. The Mahat Tattva is the total cause of the total cosmic manifestation, and that total substance of the material cause, in which there are three modes of nature, is sometimes called Brahman. The Supreme Personality impregnates the total substance, and thus innumerable universes become possible. This total material substance, the Mahat Tattva, is described as Brahman in Vedic literature, Mukunda Upanishad. Tasmad etad Brahma Nama Rupam Anam Cha Jayate. The Supreme Person impregnates that Brahman with the seeds of the living entities. The 24 elements, beginning from earth, water, fire, and air, are all material energy, and they constitute what is called Mahad Brahma, or the great Brahman, the material nature. As explained in the 7th chapter, beyond this there is another superior nature, the living entity. Into material nature, the superior nature is mixed by the will of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and thereafter all living entities are born of this material nature. The scorpion lays its egg in pile of rice, and sometimes it is said that scorpion is born out of rice. But the rice is not the cause of scorpion. Actually, the eggs were laid by the mother. Similarly, material nature is not the cause of birth of the living entities. The seed is given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and they only seem to come out as products of material nature. Thus, every living entity, according to his past activities, has a different body created by this material nature so that the entity can enjoy or suffer according to his past deeds. The Lord is the cause of all manifestations of living entities in this material world. Hare Krishna.
So here the Brahman is spoken of, right? The total material substance is called Brahman. Brahman is used multiple places in multiple ways. Brahman is the Supreme Brahman, the Supreme Personality of Godhead also. Brahman is also the Brahma, is referred to as Brahman. Brahman is a spirit soul sometimes. Brahman is also the
Effulgence.
and Brahman is also the material substance. So many different ways. Here in this material substance, that is supreme, the Brahman, they are saying. Krishna is saying. Material substance is called Brahman and is a source. And we have seen, right, like in earlier places, that there are 24 elements. The initial thing is Mahat Tattva. Mahat Tattva becomes manifested as Pradhan. And from there are the modes start generating over the period of time. As the time passes, the modes get activated, and in the mode of ego is also developed. Ego in the mode of goodness becomes prominent. Then ego in the mode of passion generates, and ignorance, like that. So these, and then the living entities, because they are superior in nature, but since they can act as superior and inferior. So because they haven't utilized their life or their situation in a way that is conducive to for them to become superior, they're still inferior. So that living entity will become mixed with this material nature, which is just conducive for it to thrive. That living entity can thrive in this material condition that has been created. five Mahatattva. So but the impregnation happens from Brahma, the Supreme Brahman. And the example that is quoted here is that of a scorpion that lays eggs in the rice. That doesn't mean that rice has produced the scorpions. They were already eggs, they came from a scorpio only, and they are put in the rice, and they come out. That doesn't mean rice has created the scorpions. So the living in the universe, the creation is like the rice, but the seed-giving father is the Brahma, the Supreme Brahman, which is referred to here. In this case, the material substance is referred to as Brahman, but usually in speaking, is a Supreme Brahman is a cause of all causes, and he is the one who is impregnated his material nature. So then they go through that process of suffering and by the past, as per their past states. That's what that verse was. Okay. So we want to read this.
Verse number 4. सर्वयोनिषु कौन्तेय मूर्तयः सम्भवन्ति याः तासां ब्रह्म महद्योनिरहं बीजप्रदः पिता. Sarva Yonishu, in all species of life, Kaunteya, O son of Kunti, Murtayah, forms, Sambhavanti, they appear, Yaha, which, Tasam, of all of them, Brahma, the Supreme, Mahat Yonihi, source of birth in the material substance, Aham, I, Bija Pradaha, the seed giving, Pita, father. It should be understood that all species of life, O son of Kunti, are made possible by birth in this material nature, and that I am the seed-giving Father. Purport. In this verse, it is clearly explained that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is the original Father of all living entities. The living entities are the combinations of material nature and the spiritual nature. Such living entities are seen not only on this planet, but on the every planet, even on the highest where Brahma is situated. Everywhere there are living entities. Within the earth there are living entities, even within water and within fire. All these appearances are due to the mother, material nature, and Krishna's seed-giving process. The purport is that the material world is impregnated with the living entities who come out in various forms at the time of creation according to their past deeds.
Yeah, so this verse talks about Krishna's seed-giving nature, like he gives Aham Bija Pradapritaha. This is what Krishna's position is. He is the seed-giving father. And all living entities are created according to the nature they have acquired in various forms at the time of creation. Then he speaks about different modes that come for this pure, the living entity that has taken birth now goes through some modes. So from here onwards, the modes are displayed. Text 5. Sattvam rajastama iti guna prakriti sambhavaha nibaddanti mahabaho dehe dehinam avyayam. Sattvam, the mode of goodness. Raja, the mode of passion. Tama, the mode of ignorance. Iti, thus, gunaha, the qualities, prakriti, material nature, sambhavaha, produced of, nibadnanti, do condition, mahabaho, O mighty armed one, dehe, in this body, dehinam, the living entity, abhayam, eternal. Translation. Material nature consists of three modes: goodness, passion, and ignorance. When the eternal living entity comes in contact with nature, O mighty Arjuna, he becomes conditioned by these modes. Purport. The living entity, because he is transcendental, has nothing to do with the material nature. Still, because he has become conditioned by the material world, he is acting under the spell of the three modes of material nature. Because living entities have different kinds of bodies in terms of the different aspects of nature, they are induced to act according to that nature. That is the cause of the varieties of happiness and distress. So the living entities, because they have come into the contact with the material nature, become affected by the three modes: goodness, passion, and ignorance. And they are forcefully obliged to act according to the mode that they have acquired, without even their sometimes will. They just act because they're overcome by that particular mode. Now he is going to talk about different modes, how people behave. So one is overcome, they helplessly become conditioned in that nature and act according to that nature, and even get more entangled into the same nature, or even down, gliding down. Vartha Mataji, please read text 6.
Me?
Vanati Mataji.
Vandama.
Sorry, yeah, Mataji. Tatra sattvam nirmalatvat prakashakam anamayam sukha sangena batnati jnana sangena chanaga. Tatra, there, sattvam, the modes of goodness, nirmalatvat, being purest in the material world, prakashakam, illuminating, anamayam, without any sinful reaction, sukha, with happiness, sangena, by association, badhnati, conditions, jnana, with knowledge, sangena, by association, cha, also, anagha, sinless one. Translation, O sinless one, the mode of goodness being purer than the others is illuminating and it frees one from all sinful reactions. Those situated in that mode becomes conditioned by a sense of happiness and knowledge. Purport. The living entities conditioned by material nature are of various types. One is happy, another is very active, and another is helpless. All these types of psychological manifestations are cause of the entities' conditioned status in the nature. How they are differently conditioned is explained in this section of Bhagavad Gita. The modes of goodness is first considered. The effect of developing the modes of goodness in the material world is that one becomes wiser than the otherwise conditioned. A man in the mode of goodness is not so much affected by material miseries, and he has a sense of advancement in material knowledge. The representative type of this Brahmana who is supposed to be situated in the modes of goodness. This sense of happiness is due to understanding that in the modes of goodness, one is more or less free from sinful reactions. Actually, in the Vedic literatures, it is said that the mode of goodness means greater knowledge and greater sense of happiness. The difficulty here is that when a living entity is situated in the mode of goodness, he becomes conditioned to feel that he is advanced in knowledge and is better than others. In this way, he becomes conditioned. The best example are the scientists and the philosophers. Each is very proud of his knowledge, and because they generally improve their living conditions, they feel a sort of material happiness. This sense of advanced happiness in conditioned life makes them bound by modes of goodness of material nature. As such, they are attracted towards working in the modes of goodness. And as long as they have an attraction for working in that way, they have to take some type of body in the modes of nature. Thus, there is no likelihood of liberation or of being transferred to the spiritual world. Repeatedly, one may become a philosopher, a scientist, or a poet, and repeatedly become entangled in the same disadvantage of birth and death. But due to the illusion of the material energy, one thinks that that sort of life is pleasant. Hare Krishna.
So now he is going to speak about the modes, starting with this verse. Okay, he already started, just gave an encapsule verse. Now he's speaking about the mode of goodness. In the mode of goodness, which is very good mode because one does not commit sinful activities. He is generally aware of what the reactions would be, so he doesn't commit sinful activities, goodness. And he is generally happy, and there is knowledge. Because of that knowledge, they won't commit sinful activities. So, which is very good. But still, this mode is also binding. It is not liberating to the soul because they become conditioned by this goodness. They act that they are superior in knowledge compared to the others, and that keeps them binded. Example is quoted as that of scientists, philosophers. So they invent a lot of good things because they have some knowledge, and that has made them have some material facilities, and then they're happy. But then the birth, death, old age, and disease have to affect them also. There will be old age, there will be death, and then there will be misery. Three kinds of material nature miseries also, Adibhuta, Adidaiva. So they will also get affected, and then they eventually become slightly tinged with some other mode because of some other effect that is happening to them. They become disheartened at some point. It's not like they're completely in pure mode of goodness. So then that is also not a real liberation. Mode of goodness is also not real liberation because they have that sort of superiority complex that they are better than the others. So with that complex, they keep taking birth. Okay, now you have become a poet in this life because you have some knowledge. Next life, you will become even little more superior poet or something else, philosopher, scientist. By higher knowledge, I can invent things. So this keeps them bounded into the material world and keep repeating the same thing. So it's not liberating. Mode of goodness is good compared to the other modes. However, it is not the best because one has to transcend this mode also to get to the point of understanding devotional life, or to get to become the go back to Godhead. One has to transcend this mode also. One has to come to the level of Shuddha Sattva, which is like untinged. That is not humanly possible in this world because there is always modes acting. Where are we? Sneha Mataji, please read 7.
Text 7. Rajo ragatmakam vidhi trishna sanga samudbhavam tanni निबध्नाति कौन्तेय कर्मसङ्गेन देहिनां Rajaha, the mode of passion, Raga Atmakam, born of desire or lust, Vidhi, known, Trishna, with hankering, Sangha, association, Samudbhavam, produced of, Tat, that, Nibadnati, binds, Kaunteya, O son of Kunti, Karma Sangena, by association with fruitive activity, Dehinam, the embodied. The mode of passion is born of unlimited desires and longings, O son of Kunti, and because of this, the embodied living entity is bound to material fruitive actions. The mode of passion is characterized by the attraction between man and woman. Woman has attraction for man, and man has attraction for woman. This is called the mode of passion. And when the mode of passion is increased, one develops the hankering for material enjoyment. He wants to enjoy sense gratification. For sense gratification, a man in the mode of passion wants some honor in society or in the nation, and he wants to have a happy family with nice children, wife, and house. These are the products of the mode of passion. As long as one is hankering after these things, he has to work very hard. Therefore, it is clearly stated here that he becomes associated with the fruits of his activities and thus becomes bound by such activities. In order to please his wife, children, and society, and to keep up his prestige, one has to work. Therefore, the whole material world is more or less in the mode of passion. Modern civilization is considered to be advanced in the standard of the mode of passion. Formerly, the advanced condition was considered to be in the mode of goodness. If there is no liberation for those in the mode of passion, what to speak of those who are entangled in mode of if there is no liberation for those in the mode of goodness, what to speak of those who are entangled in the mode of passion? Hare Krishna.
So next mode is the mode of passion, and it is born out of the unlimited desires for desires and longings, hankering and lamentation. Desires and longing. Longing is lamentation. Okay, I didn't get that. I want it. Desire is like hankering. O son of Kunti, and because of this, embodied living is bound to material fruitive actions. So one, because of those deeper hankerings and desires, one go after securing them. And the greatest attraction in the society, in the human society, or in any, not only human society, in the um, living entities, is the attraction between male and female. So the male is attracted to the female, and female is attracted to the male. And then there are other that things that come out, the home, children, things to help them live happily. So all these are the products of mode of passion. And at the end, Prabhupada is saying, we just saw that mode of goodness is not liberating, and what to speak of mode of passion, because that definitely is more binding than mode of goodness. So that is what this verse was. Prabhuji, please read. Someone raised a line.
No, Priyamvada Mataji also joined if she wants to read.
Usually she'll take time. Mother, you want to read? That's okay. Prabhu, please read.
Okay. तमस्त्व अज्ञानजं विधि मोहनं सर्वदेहिनां प्रमादालस्य निद्राभिस्तन्निबध्नाति भारत. Tamaha, the mode of ignorance. Two, but ajnanajam, produced of ignorance. Vidhi, knows. Mohanam, the delusion. Sarva dehinam, of all embodied beings. Pramada, with madness. Alasya, indolence. Nidravihi, and sleep. Tat, that. Nibhadnati, binds. Bharata, O son of Bharata. O son of Bharata, know that the mode of darkness born of ignorance is the delusion of all embodied living entities. The results of this mode are madness, indolence, and sleep, which binds the conditioned soul. In this verse, the specific application of words two is very significant. This means that the mode of ignorance is a very peculiar qualification of the embodied soul. The mode of ignorance The mode of ignorance is just the opposite of mode of goodness. In the mode of goodness, by development of knowledge, one can understand what is what. But the mode of ignorance is just the opposite. Everyone under the mode of ignorance becomes mad, and a mad man cannot understand what is what. Instead of making advancement, one becomes degraded. The definition of the mode of ignorance is stated in the Vedic literature. Vastu yathatmya jnana varakam viparyaya jnana janakam tamaha. Under the spell of ignorance, one cannot understand a thing as it is. For example, everyone can see that his grandfather had died, and therefore he will also die. Man is mortal. The children that he conceives will also die, so death is sure. Still, people are madly accumulating money and working very hard all day and night, not caring for the eternal spirit. This is madness. In their madness, they are very reluctant to make advancement in spiritual understanding. Such people are very lazy. When they are invited to associate for the spiritual understanding, they are not much interested. They are not even active like the man who is controlled by the mode of passion. Thus, another symptom of one embedded in the mode of ignorance is that he sleeps more than it is required. 6 hours of sleep is sufficient, but a man in the mode of ignorance sleeps at least 10 or 12 hours a day. Such a man appears to be always dejected and is addicted to intoxicants and sleeping. These are the symptoms of a person conditioned by the mode of ignorance.
The mode of ignorance. How it is binding to the living entity is that they are always in madness, indolence, and sleep. And what is the way it becomes mode of ignorance? There is nothing, no goodness. Opposite to mode of goodness is mode of ignorance. So anything that goodness people do, they will do exactly opposite. And it is born of that darkness and illusion. That illusion that, again, the examples are quoted here. Our Prabhupada explains that living entities are trying to accumulate money, thinking that they will live for eternity, and their dependents also will live. They continue to. The point that is being made is earning money probably is not what is being made. The time that they spend to do that, instead of using some of the time to give for the spiritual realizations, go to the temple and associate with the devotees. Instead of doing that, they work whatever time they have, they put in more hours to work more so that they can benefit their future generations and they themselves. But one day they have to leave everything behind. That is something they don't understand because they are in that mode of madness. So they are not even like these people, because they are in such madness, they don't have passions, right? That is exactly opposite to the goodness, right? So passion is in between. Passionate people, at least we can explain something, they can either take it or not. But in ignorant people, they're just so sleepy or so even if they come to these programs, if you invite them, they become so gloomy. Looking at them, it feels like, even why did I even invite them here? So they look so gloomy. Oh my God. So that is how they become, because they are very averse to these topics, because they're lazy. That's what they make. They were very reluctant to make advancement because such people are very lazy and they do not make any progress. They sleep more and intoxication. So most people that we see around are in the mode of little tinges of goodness, little more tinges of passion, and some tinges of ignorance. depending on the time of the day also. It impacts the day, it impacts the person to person, depending on which mode they are operating. And everyone has all the tinges. One is predominant, the other is lesser dominant. But everyone is affected by these modes. For ignorant people, this is a mode that is more predominant compared to goodness or passion. No passion, no goodness, only ignorance.
Mataji, can I add something?
Yes.
Yeah. So we have seen like three verses is describing the characteristics of all those people in mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. But many times we have seen that people misunderstand these verses in saying like mode of goodness is bad, or mode of passion is bad, or mode of ignorance is bad. Like for even for devotees, if we have to sleep at our stage, we need that mode of ignorance to sleep. If we have to read Bhagavad Gita or join these classes sessions, we need to be in that mode of goodness. So point is not about this modes being bad. It is about ki instead of being totally controlled by these modes, we have to use these modes in a devotional service. So for if you have to take a Bhagavatam class or you have to take a Bhagavad Gita class, you have to use that mode of goodness in performing that devotional service, and that will help you to transcend that mode. So point is not that mode being wrong. Point is being controlled by that mode. That is wrong. So that is what Prabhupada is curtailing over here.
Nice one. Yes. That angle is very good. So we don't miss the point. So everything can be utilized in the service of the Lord. If you are passionate, then you can do service which requires your entire body to be moving vigorously, or that you can use that in the service of the Lord. So in devotional service, all these modes can be employed. I don't think, but mode of ignorance can be employed in any way. When for sleeping purpose, yes, this also can be employed, because during the night time we come under the mode of ignorance and then we sleep, and only for the reason so that we can become fresh for tomorrow's service, right? So
So
that
when Arjuna had to fight, it was not that he was Krishna is asking him to be in the mode of goodness. Over there, Krishna is asking whatever passion you have, you use that to fight for me. So the point is, Krishna is not saying that people who are in the mode of passion they are rejected. It's just that use that passion for me. That is the whole point over here.
yeah. So ignorance also can be used so that we can become that, so that we can rejuvenate and use that time in the service next day. So people who are cognizant of how they're going through the modes, they use their time wisely. So during the night time, they sleep early so that the mode anyway is kicked in. Whether you are sleepy or not, the material nature itself is inducing us to sleep. Night means it is inducing us. So we need to go according to the nature and sleep. But many people these days, especially students, teenagers, they wake up till early hours, then they sleep. So that means their mode of ignorance anyway they are in, but their day which becomes as a mode of goodness is off gone in mode of ignorance, because their night anyway is ignorance by default, because that's the mode that predominantly acting on the night. Followed by that, in the daytime when they have to be up, they are also sleeping, and then that becomes extended mode of ignorance. In 24 hours, about 18 to 20 hours are spent only in mode of ignorance. So that's very pathetic situation. Yeah, ninth verse. Who has read?
You have to read, I think, Mataji.
Okay. Text 9. Satvam sukhe sanjayate raja karmani bharata jnanam avritya tu tamaha pramade sanjayatyauta. Sattvam, the mode of goodness, Sukhe, in happiness, Sanjayati, binds, Raja, the mode of passion, Karmani, in fruitive activity, Bharata, O son of Bharata, Jnanam, knowledge, Abritya, covering, Tu, but, Tamaha, the mode of ignorance, Pramade, in madness, Sanjayati, binds, Uta, it is said. Translation. O son of Bharata, the mode of goodness conditions one to happiness, passion conditions one to fruitive action, and ignorance covering one's knowledge binds one to madness. Purport. A person in the mode of goodness is satisfied by his work or intellectual pursuit, such as philosopher, scientist, or educator, may be engaged in a particular field of knowledge and may be satisfied in that way. A man in the mode of passion may be engaged in fruitive activity. He owns as much as he can and spends for good causes. Sometimes he tries to open hospitals, give charity institutions, etc. These are signs of one in the mode of passion. And the mode of ignorance covers knowledge. In the mode of ignorance, whatever one does is good neither for him nor for anyone. So this verse is summarizing whatever about the three modes. Question to all of us. How does these modes impact devotees? How does mode of ignorance, mode of passion, mode of goodness affect the devotee?
It's a kind of a binding to them.
It's binding for everyone.
Yeah.
But how does it manifest in a devotee? We have seen what are the qualifications, how it manifests. One is knowledgeable, one is who is in knowledge and happiness. So devotees, once they gain knowledge, they want to show off to others that I have attained the superior knowledge. Then they are under the mode of goodness, and that is binding too. So that is a balance that a devotee has to. Now, how to transcend is, even though you have attained this knowledge of spiritual knowledge, if you put yourself out to show that you have attained this knowledge, then it is a mode of goodness which you have binded by. So then that you need to be careful of. So the devotee should be careful of how this mode of goodness should not impact them. The knowledge that they are acquiring and the qualifications that they have acquired, maybe Brahman initiation, Brahman qualification, they cannot act superior with others, in front of others. So that is binding. Passion.
Passion, they expect to do it for fruitive activities, right? Like they do it for self gratification. They start doing.
Done for gratification. Even if any recognition, they are seeking for recognition. That becomes it's a passion, right? They want to seek some recognition, so that can affect them. It can, and mode of ignorance, we know the characteristics. If we sleep more, then a devotee is also engaged in that, overcome by that. Laziness, one should not be lazy in devotional service. They have to do it. They have to do it. They cannot be lazy in devotional service. So that is how a devotee should be very careful about it. Manta Mataji, please read 10.
रजस्तमश्च विभूय सत्त्वं भवति भारत रजः सत्त्वं तमश्चैव तमः सत्त्वं रजस्तथा. Synonyms: Raja, the modes of passion; Tamaha, the modes of ignorance; Cha, also; Abhibhuya, surpassing; Sattvam, the modes of goodness; Bhavati becomes prominent; Bharata, O son of Bharata; Rajaha, the mode of passion; Sattvam, the mode of goodness; Tamaha, the mode of ignorance; Cha, also; Eva, like that; Tamaha, the mode of ignorance; Sattvam, the mode of goodness; Rajaha, the mode of passion; Tata, thus. Translation: sometimes the mode of goodness becomes prominent, defeating the modes of passion and ignorance. O son of Bharata, sometimes the mode of passion defeats goodness and ignorance, and other times ignorance defeats goodness and passion. In this way, there is always competition for supremacy. Purport. When the mode of passion is prominent, the modes of goodness and ignorance are defeated. When the mode of goodness is prominent, passion and ignorance are defeated. And when the mode of ignorance is prominent, passion and goodness are defeated. The competition is always going on. Therefore, one who is actually intent on advancing in Krishna consciousness has to transcend these three modes. The prominence of some certain mode of nature is manifested in one's dealing, in his activities, in eating, etc. All this will be explained in later chapters. But if one wants, he can develop by practice the mode of goodness and defeat the mode of ignorance and passion. One can similarly develop the mode of passion and defeat goodness and ignorance, or one can develop the mode of ignorance and defeat goodness and passion. Although there are these three modes of material nature, if one is determined, he can be blessed by the mode of goodness, and by transcending the mode of goodness, he can be situated in pure goodness, which is called the Vasudeva state, a state in which one can understand the science of God. By manifestation of particular activities, it can be understood in what mode of nature one is situated. Hare Krishna.
So there are the sometimes prominent the modes are acting differently at different times. Basically, this is a time that is acting. So mode of goodness become prominent in the morning time. Mode of passion and early hours mode of goodness. Passion and ignorance becomes prominent during the day when the execution is happening. Right, 9 o'clock till 5 o'clock, you can see how much the passion is in the air. Everyone is passionate. If you go out on the street, it's passion. Everyone is driven. So it's in the air. So you are affected by it. So that is also. Then the mode of ignorance, it's getting down late in the night, getting darker. People are getting tired, sleepy. So that is, so the modes, one who's going through the day is experiencing all this. Sometimes the mode of passion is prominent, goodness is prominent, and ignorance is prominent. But devotee works this only so that they can be utilized. The time that they are going through spending, they are utilizing in the service of the Lord. Morning time definitely is for the service. Afternoon work is there, but then what is the work going to give them the result? That will be employed in the service of the Lord again, and then followed by the evening time or night time. Again, that purpose of that, making utilizing of that time is to again employ that in the service of the Lord. So that is how the devotee has to do. But everyone is going through these modes. But one has to transcend even the mode of goodness. That's what Prabhupada is saying at the end, which is called pure goodness, Shuddha Sattva or Vasudeva state, in which one can transcend the science and understand the science of God. Like that. Okay. 11. We can do one more or two more small ones. Same Mataji, please read.
Text 11. सर्वद्वारेषु देहेऽस्मिन् प्रकाश उपजायते ज्ञानं यदा तदा विद्यद् विवर्धं सत्वम् इत्य उत. Sarvadvareshu, in all the gates, dehesmin, in this body, prakashaha, the quality of illumination, upajayate, develops, jnanam, knowledge, yada, when, tada, at that time, vidyat, known, vivardham, increased, sattvam, the mode of goodness, iti uta, thus it is said. The manifestation of the mode of goodness can be experienced when all the gates of the body are illuminated by knowledge. Purport. There are 9 gates in the body: 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 nostrils, the mouth, the genitals, and the anus. When every gate is illuminated by the symptoms of goodness, it should be understood that one has developed the mode of goodness. In the mode of goodness, one can see things in the right position, one can hear things in the right position, and one can taste things in the right position. One becomes cleansed inside and outside. In every gate, there is development of the symptoms of happiness, and that is the position of goodness. Should I read the next one?
Actually, we have 2 more verses to complete this section.
Okay, no problem.
We can go through. Yeah, so let me just quickly summarize this text level. It's about the manifestation of mode of goodness by the bodily parts, the gates of the body. So there are 9 gates, as we have seen: 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 nostrils, mouth, genitals, and anus. So all these are also can become the sources of knowledge. They can be illumined by the knowledge. How? How is that possible? Eyes, ears, nose, and other organs, how can they be illumined by knowledge? Is when they are used for their purpose. If the body and these organs and the body are used for the purpose that they're meant for, then they become illumined by knowledge. That is what it means. They can see things. When there is knowledge, then they can do things in the proper way and see the things in the right way, however they have to be perceived. So, for example, two eyes. How do we employ eyes? For seeing something which is related to the spiritual. Reading scriptures with the eyes and like that. 2 ears, hearing Krishna Katha. 2 nostrils, again. Yeah. Each one we can talk like that, but then mouth, either to eat Krishna Prasadam or to glorify the Lord and sing Krishna bhajans, like that. And genitals is for the purpose of progeny, and everything has a purpose, right? Why we are doing it, so that we are using our situation which is given to us in a way that we overcome that situation and properly engage the thing that we have it in the service of the Lord. So that is when these become illumined by knowledge. So that is mode of goodness. And then passion comes next, 12 onwards, and ignorance 13. So there you will complete that particular section of how conditioned souls are entangled or binded by the modes. Conditioning of the soul by these modes. So 12 will continue next week. We'll pause here. Anybody has any reflections?
If no one has anything, while reading verse number 10, I thought that all this knowledge is talking about the modes of good modes, or the three modes, and what are the characteristics and all those things. So it is actually, this kind of knowledge is not just a bookish knowledge, but it's actually used for devotees also. You can implement it as like, once you know that morning time is a goodness mode of goodness, so it's better all your you do all your chanting and book reading and everything in the morning, so that it helps you better. Okay, it's not that the in the afternoon or in the evening you cannot, but every time, every call in the day has some effect on you, and if you utilize that in Krishna service, it will be much more useful. So if there is some activity which needs a lot of passion, so definitely try to do that in the in during the day and not in the morning. In the morning, better to do all those activities of mode of goodness, like whether you do chanting or whether you do book reading, deity worship, and all those things. And in if you have to do services of writing a book or anything, generally that is daily done during the day. So all those things. So this kind of knowledge is actually helpful for us to channelize our day throughout the day and plan our day accordingly. So that's what I felt.
Thanks. Anybody else?
Also, Mataji, I thought about, like Prabhuji said, even if he channelized when to use what kind of mode, morning, like goodness, and if you channelize. And again, we have to be careful not to get attached to these modes. For instance, you get up in the morning and chant and do everything, and you shouldn't get attached to it and think you're superior or you're able to do it, kind of thing, right? And because again, it becomes a binding, and it puts you back into the cycle of birth and death, right?
Yeah. No,
You
getting attached to
practice all these more.
of getting up in the morning is good. Like if you are attached to that activity, it will help you only
Yeah.
to. But what you should not be attached is, you should not become proud that you are attached to that.
Yeah.
To
Yes.
show
Yeah.
that is a superiority compared to others, and that is fine. But
Yeah. Okay.
become attached only, then you'll sustain that habit of
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
And also this it is conducive to do one activity as per that time, because it is
Mhm.
just like the Ganges flow. If you are going along with the flow in a river, then it becomes easy for the currents are helping us to flow along the river. But if you move against the
Yeah.
river, it is so hard to push the anything, right? If you're going against. So that these timings to do whatever is required to do, it help us to conduct those things, like morning spirituality, afternoon passionate execution of the work. Like, you have to cannot show goodness there, can be happily doing where you have to have some rigor to do. And ignorance again, you need to use the time in the sleep so that we can next day employ it properly. Like that.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you all very much. We'll meet next Wednesday.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, ma'am. Hare Krishna.